Hey guys, Coney Gaming here, and welcome back again to another episode of Love Money Rock and Roll series. Now, we last left off in the previous video at the time that we were having a conversation with other characters. There's nothing special moment happened so far, except for the fact that Kiyosaki came by and asked Nikolai for some assistance to help him introduce himself to Himitsu's best friend. Specifically, what my subscriber said, the Russian version of Velma from Scooby-Doo. And also a confrontation and an argument between Catherine and Nikolai, and also the connection about the note that were introduced or that we have noticed at the first episode of the series. And that's pretty much anything about it, and I don't want to spoil every details that I have encountered so far in each episode that I have in the series. So if you want to see more details about it, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna get bored on that because some of the videos are way longer, specifically the 1 hour video limit at that time when we're having a good times and bad times with Himitsu at amusement park. And that's pretty much it. If you want to see all the episodes that I have in this series so far, the link is in the description below, or maybe just go ahead and click at the top right corner on your screen. So without further ado, let's just get into it. And before we continue, hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell to get notified for the upcoming videos in my channel, and also hit the like button if you find this video enjoyable. So let us continue then. Sometimes a dream is just a dream. In this case, however, it was a deceased retrospective of recent events. I was chasing Catherine while she was running away, yet constantly turning around, smiling, waving at me and shouting something. Her words were carried away by the wind, and only her eyes shone and lips moved in silent labor. That must be Himitsu. Nikokin! I started to hear behind me. Nikokin! The voice is becoming ever clearer. Himitsu was chasing me. She didn't look angry, but rather sad and wary. Where was I running to? After or from who? In a dream, you move easily, effortlessly, as if floating, immediately gaining unprecedented speed without getting strained or tired. As if standing on an escalator as it rushes ahead. It takes you up or brings you down, depending on the point of view. I opened my eyes and immediately realized it was early in the morning. This happens sometimes. You don't need to glance at the clock or look outside. Your own body gives a signal that it has yet to fully recover. The heavy head, the puffy eyes, the dry horrors. I knew these symptoms all too well. Except I hadn't been drinking yesterday. I got the feeling that sleeping the rest of the time I had left wasn't the best idea. The Catherine from the dream seemed to have stopped, and I finally managed to hear what she was shouting. We shouldn't have... Oh, it's from the previous episode. That's what she said. We shouldn't have met at all. I rolled to the other side. The KGB, the Japanese, the project, Kobayashi Corporation, even my parents' death. If all that hadn't happened, Catherine would have still remained in my life. Moreover, she would have remained even had she not returned to Japan. If not in my life, then in my heart. If not in my heart, then in the neurons of my brain's internal glands. The mechanisms of a romantic love might be of interest to an outside observer, a scientist looking at the problem as a matter of human physiology. But a man sick with smallpox would be more interested in how he had managed to catch it so late into the 20th century than its pathomechanisms. A cup of hot tea woke me up. I seem to recall that this pack had been here before. Could Himitsu have brought it? Himitsu. She was about to come to wake me up. How surprised she'd be to see. Except I didn't want her to see me at all. Not today. Not right now. Perhaps yesterday had gone a bit better than I could have expected. Perhaps I had reason to hope that my life would get better, at least in some respects. But now I'd woken up, and I'd started all over again. She can't see me like this. I was absolutely positive she would realize everything right away. I felt naked, with my feelings exposed, defenseless before the outside world. And so I ran. I left the house and simply walked wherever my feet would take me. My pace wasn't particularly fast, but not slow either. I watched the road and traffic lights, even avoided running into people. But it was all done on autopilot. My mind was elsewhere. Maybe the dream where I was chasing Catherine. Chasing with full understanding that I would never catch her. Life can be a strange thing. Kachat lived just a couple kilometers away from here. I could just go and ring her doorbell. Even if it was just still too early and she was asleep. I could scale the fire escape and climb into her window. And then I could tell her everything I wanted to say. With beautiful words, elegant phrases, genuinely and passionately. If she would listen to me and understand. Understand. And forgive me. What the hell? Why should I feel guilty about her? I whispered quietly. Or so I thought. An old woman. You'll be fine before the wedding. Came a snide comment from some old lady as she deftly slipped under my arm. I stumbled away, startled, and picked up my pace. Soon I found myself in the park. It had been a while since last came here. I used to go here with Kacha. She used to say this was the only place in the city where we could be alone. Or maybe she didn't, and I just assumed that's what she thought. Catherine never liked to publicly show her feelings, and sometimes it even seemed like she was embarrassed that someone would see us together. The park itself was more or less a classical Japanese garden. I always thought that in a way nature was the same everywhere. Sure, Earth had different climates. Some trees would grow on one continent, but completely refused to take root on another. But in general, it was the same vegetation, the same soil, the same murmuring streams. Maybe that was because we rarely perceive nature as something discrete. We may often think about the age of a particular tree, but no one counts the blades of grass in the meadow or the grains of sand at the beach. Neither is a plucked flower perceived by us as the end of the separate biological entity. It's just a process. It will wither, rot, and turn into something new. I walked into our favorite gazebo and sat down on the bench. And I want to know if this is the correct pronunciation I've made on this one. Let me know in the comments below. Rare, yellowish leaves floated back and forth on the small lake. Here, in the forest, you could say the arrival of autumn wasn't as apparent, even though the temperature was a couple of degrees lower than in the city. I probably still wasn't used to summer like warmth in the middle of September. What was the weather then, I wondered. It had been 2 years. 2 years. Is that a lot for plants? What about century-old oaks? What about me? I sank into my memories. Okay. Huh. Right? Is this some kind of an early backstory again from what we have seen so far from episode 7? I think. I don't know. My first summer in high school had ended. To be honest, I no longer remember what I thought, strived for at the time. Only that I was simpler, more naive. It was a normal school day. Fundamentally, our high school differed from its middle counterpart only in name, and was located on the same grounds. I knew many of the students. We had been in the same class before. Oh, many Japanese schools change students between classes each year, which is meant to promote interpersonal skills and collectivism. I think I've already heard this word before from one of the lessons that I have encountered during my college days. That yeah, I forgot the meaning about it, but doesn't matter. Besides, my good chubby friend Kyosuke was sitting next to me. Don't you think it's weird we've ended up in the same class however many times now? Are you implying that it's not a coincidence? He made one of those grins that practically screamed, "Come on, ask me what I mean." I'm just stating the fact. Because if I thought you arranged it somehow, it started to feel weird. Scared, even. Why me exactly? Who else could it be? He huffily mumbled something in response. I think we've got a nice class here. I looked around the classroom, but my eyes didn't linger on anyone in particular. Probably because I didn't have any particular ties to any of them. What do you think about... He moved closer to me and whispered. The girls. Oh really, Kyosuke? You really think about that one first day of high school? Nice one. Yeah, the girls. Sorry. Well, I don't really know. I'd lie if I said I didn't think about it. Any normal guy my age does. But that's where it ended. It was hard for me to even imagine myself next to someone other than Himitsu. Even though I didn't think about her that way either. If you were to rank them, who'd get first place? Ratings are your thing. Piss off. I cracked back in good nature. You're obviously hiding something. Why would I be hiding something? Fine, I'll start then. Now, what do you think about... He raised his finger and started to run it around the classroom as if choosing a toy in the shop's window. Hey, come on. Winter-san, let's say. Catherine was sitting behind the front desk, her back turned to us. Oh boy. Her long hair lay so smoothly that it resembled a frozen waterfall. Although coldness was also inherent to her character. At least that's how it seemed to me. I don't really know. I absolutely did know. If I were to answer Kyosuke's question seriously, which I never would, Catherine Winters would be at the top of my list. Why? You're both foreigners. Don't you think that's a bit chauvinistic? What? I said the last word in English because I read it in some sci-fi novel and simply didn't know how to say it in Japanese. Apparently, the vocabulary of the heroes in Kyosuke's manga was a bit poorer. Hey, come on, Nikolai, please. I'm calling you a dickweed. You do realize your reaction is a little suspicious. Fine. What do you want to hear? Rate her out of 10. Let's say... 7. So low? He flung his arms disappointedly. What, should I give 10 to each and every one of them? Having a top score wouldn't mean shit then. And we're not in first grade where everyone gets A's in art class. I didn't get any A's. You're a different story. I'm talking about normal people. Oh, is that so? Should I pass your score over to Mrs. Winterston? He stood up from the chair theatrically slowly. What are you doing? Come down and sit. Of course, I didn't believe that Kyosuke really intended to do that. First and foremost, I didn't believe he had the courage. Scared, are you? I'm really not. Just why? Let's call it putting your personal life in order. Otherwise, you'll be alone forever. Look who's talking. Also, did you think to ask for her opinion first? Well, you are quite the guy. The cock of the walk. He grinned and finally sat back down. When you're the one saying that, it just sounds wrong. We laughed together. I mean, it's pretty fine, to say the least, that the relationship between... The friendship, the friendship to be specific, with Nikolai and Kyosuke before was actually pretty good. And no arguments and such. I mean, that's how friendship actually works in that one. Even though sometimes they might be stupid, but at least they're having fun on that one. Yeah. Not to mention having a conversation about which girls in their class is top 1, top 10, top 20, I don't know. Actually, that's what I usually do when I was high school specifically. But yeah, I don't have friends since high school, so I'm a loader ever since then, except right now. The lessons ended, and I was on my way home with Himitsu. Oh, I couldn't get Kiyosuke's classmate ranking out of my head, or at least the rank of one classmate, Catherine Winters. I had paid attention to her before. Maybe it actually was because she wasn't Japanese. Excuse me. But more likely because she was beautiful, elegant, clever, and possessed a kind of mysterious charm. At the time, I didn't realize that she was simply more mature and feminine than the other girls. And in some sense, Kyosuke was right. I was hiding, even if it's just from myself, that I liked Catherine. Which is quite easy to do if you don't think about a girl in the context of a relationship. We talk about the beauty of actresses on TV screens, but few people actually fall in love with them. It's another matter when the actress is your classmate. And that makes her way more human in a sense and also available. Not just a 2D picture, but a real girl you can at the very least talk to. Ooh, Himitsu! Oh my god! They're so cute! Okay, so it turns out this is an early backstory on how Kyosuke, Himitsu, and same goes to Catherine as well. I mean, we already met Himitsu from episode 7, the early backstory at the time, but this time will be Kyosuke and also Catherine's a friendship and also a first meetup with Catherine in this one. I don't know, I kind of rambling these things up, but I hope you understand what I'm saying in this one. Listen, do you like anyone in your class? As Himitsu continuing the flow of my thoughts aloud. And she was shocked. Yeah, unexpectedly. But to her, this question was completely unexpected. Like? Like? What do you mean? Well, any of the guys? Why do you ask, Nico-kun? I just talked with Kyosuke over break. New class, new school, you know. So, do you like someone? At the time, I didn't even think about Himitsu's feelings. Didn't think the conversation might be unpleasant for her. I was just talking about a normal school day with a friend. I don't really know. I grinned stupidly, scratched the back of my head, and turned away to hide my embarrassment. Nico-kun, Himitsu said angrily. You would have brought this up for no reason. Alright, my bad. There may be a certain American. American? Huh. Himitsu drawled. Is she pretty? What do you think? Well, she's certainly not going to like you. Why's that? I asked with indignation. Because you're lazy, rude, and insensitive. Also sloppy and scruffy. Imagine if you saw what goes on in your room. Himitsu said all this in good nature, but her words still got to me. Huh. That's quite suspicious. I mean, Himitsu said earlier ago that sloppy and scruffy. Wait, you know what? I'm not gonna share any details on that one. Why, thank you for the compliments. But that's the truth. You can't be offended by the truth. Truth. Yeah, right. I grumbled. In all seriousness, though, Himitsu said a little later, her voice now completely different. What do you think about that girl? I don't think anything yet. So you're just gonna watch from a distance and do nothing? I don't know. That's not right, I think. If you like someone, you should tell them. Would you? Me? We're talking about you right now. Maybe... maybe I will. But time passed and it became obvious that I had to do something. I thought of Catherine more and more often and the thoughts were starting to become frankly obtrusive. But at first, even approaching her seemed like an impossible task to me. So inaccessible she appeared. Besides, Catherine barely talked to our other classmates either. At first, I thought it was just due to her personality, but sometimes things would get simply ridiculous. One time working in a pair, she went an entire lesson without saying a word. proudly with her head held high and a sense of dignity to her, just like a real lady, but still silently. And she ended up with an F. Oh my. Huh. Maybe she's having a hard time on reporting such since she's new in Japan or something? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I mean, she's a foreigner, so there has to be a reason about it. It would be one thing if that was all there was to it, but it was an English lesson. It was hard to doubt Catherine's knowledge of it, but a school is a social institution where both the result and the method matter. You could solve math problems with a calculator, but you wouldn't get an A for it. In the end, Kachat turned up her nose and left the class. I felt like it was my chance and, complaining about terrible stomachache to the teacher, went after her. Ah, there she is. Giving an F to a native is messed up. That's exactly why I don't take Russian. I caught up to her on the staircase and awkwardly tried to start a conversation. Catherine just gave me a look of distress and said, "Yeah, your Japanese grades weren't exactly amazing either, to say the least." And thus, finally I found Catherine Winter's weak spot. At lunch, I approached her, smiled and started to speak in Japanese as legibly as I could manage. "Hi, sorry for saying this out of blue, but I noticed you're having a hard time with Japanese. Mind if I help? My name's Nikolai, by the way." She raised her surprised eyes at me and answered coldly. "Oh boy. Thank you, but I'm fine. I mean, I understand it's really stressful to end up in a foreign country, and a new school too. I've just been living in Japan for a while now. I'm fine." She interrupted me in the same tone. "You know, the language matters the most. The faster you learn it, the faster you'll adapt." Catherine's look robbed me of all resolve to continue. Or not. Well, there goes his happy ending, but he's not the kind of person to give up on that one. From the first moment of our acquaintance, Miss Winters made it clear that she only saw me as yet another annoying classmate. She wasn't any good at making friends, and I wondered more and more often if her lack of Japanese skills really was the reason for it. Same here. However, besides disappointment, I was also overflowing with enthusiasm, a desire to get my way at all costs. One day in a canteen, I unceremoniously sat across from Catherine without an invitation. "Bon appetit!" She didn't respond and even seemed to pretend I wasn't there. "I just wanted to say I know we got off on the wrong foot. My bad. I should have imposed myself." "It's not your fault." Catherine immediately switched to English. "Oh, I just don't need help with Japanese. My knowledge is quite sufficient to survive the next 3 years here." "Do you really hate it here that much?" I responded in English as well, in anticipation of her reaction. Catherine didn't even bat an eye. How do I put it? It seemed like I had been reading too much of Kyosuke's manga. Why did I even think she thought that I didn't know English? In any case, now she was much friendlier than the first time. At least by her standards. You know, at first I was really afraid of this new country. Everything was so big. Although I had it easier, of course, being a child and all. Continuing to demonstrate her utter lack of interest, Catherine finally joined the conversation. How old were you?" 7. Can you imagine?" I said enthusiastically. "I can. I was 7 once too." "So, what brought you here? To Japan, I mean. Not the canteen." "My mom is a diplomat." "Oh, really?" "Okay, my parents are engineers. They work for Kobayashi Corporation. Ever heard of it?" "I have." Catherine kept poking her fork into something that probably used to be a... Wait a minute. You're supposed to place roast on this one before this... It doesn't matter. Probably used to be a roast beef. There you go. "So you're from the Soviet Union then?" "Yes, ma'am. Nikolai Anakin, at your service." Our countries don't have the best relationship. Why do you think ours will be any better? She smiled, if barely. Well, politics aren't my strong suit, but I don't think the common people should suffer because of the decisions of a bunch of idiots in power. I immediately realized it was correct to say in power, but Catherine didn't give me a chance to correct myself. That is a very shallow understanding of politics, Nikolai. I did say it's not my strong suit. So you advocate for world peace and friendship among all peoples? That'd be better, wouldn't it? I guess. What about you then? And why are we even talking about politics? I laughed. You started it. No, I didn't. You said that our countries don't have the best relationship. Well, let's say so. It was nice talking to you. Catherine stood up, took her tray, and left. Not that I was going to stop her. This one had clearly been lost. I mean, yeah, you're having good conversation with that one, at least. Several more days passed, and I was waiting for Catherine at the school gates to go home together. Yeah, right. Next, I'd be offering to carry her backpack. I probably still hadn't realized at the time, but my attempts to get close to her were transforming into some sort of competition between the two of us. Oh, hey! Going home? Me too. What a coincidence! The only result of my action so far was the fact that she started to show more emotions. Excuse me. There you go. Most of which more or less fit under the definition of the word sarcasm. Are you taking the subway? Yes, and for some reason, I feel like sorry you. For your information, I could go on foot, but since we've got ourselves this quote-unquote coincidence, I don't mind at all. Don't get me wrong. I would never, God forbid. For a while, we walked in silence. I pretended to harbor a grudge against Catherine, and she wasn't one to start a conversation. Or so it seemed to me. Your English is pretty good. I read a lot. What do you read? Science fiction, mostly. Sheckley, Clark, Semak, Heinlein. I don't like science fiction. Well, girls rarely do. Do you know many? A couple. Himitsu for one. I see. From that moment on, my presence no longer interested her. What books do you like? Books? I can't really say. All kinds. My patience ran out. Listen, maybe you should stop acting like this. How am I acting, exactly? Catherine even stopped. You know full well that I like you. Then why all this? If you said no right away, we wouldn't need to put in this act. You like me? That's when I grew embarrassed. Isn't that obvious? Not to a girl. Didn't you say you have a lot of experience with them? I said nothing like that. And anyway, so you want to date me? Well, yeah, that's a given. Alright. Alright, what? I asked, dumbfounded. Let's date. Just like that? You did say I could have said no right away. I choose to say yes. Catherine gifted me with a genuine smile. Oh my god! Well, looks like we found out the first thing they started their first relationship on this one. Before the episode 1 of the series. Yeah. Well, okay then. I almost asked what should we do now. By the way, we're here. And indeed, the station showed up from behind the corner. You must have a lot to think about. And since you don't live far from here, see you tomorrow then. Boyfriend? Catherine flashed an even cuter smile and left me standing in a complete stupor. Oh! What a happy guy, Nikolai. What a really happy guy on that one. I'm so proud of you. Anyway, today, I know that this kind of behavior was at least somewhat normal for her. But at the time, I was so shocked that I didn't feel any particular joy. Maybe I'd feel something similar if 100 kilogram piece of concrete, sorry, fell on the ground a meter away from me. It's nice that it didn't fall on my head, but the following days were each one better than the other. I grew closer with Catherine, and even though I didn't quite understand why she was like that, she became less arrogant. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it's the park. One day we were sitting in a park, embracing each other. America doesn't have parks like this one. Really? It seems like a pretty normal park to me. No, not normal at all. It's beautiful. Quite peaceful. Well, at least there's something in Japan that you like. Catherine's laugh was barely audible. By the way, do you know that in Russia you can be called kacha? Kacha? Sounds weird. I think it's really cute. I'll be calling you that from now on. No way. You don't like it? You'd be called Nick in America. You already called me Nick. She didn't respond, only sank deeper into my shoulder. Aww. We'll leave this place, right? Later, when we finish school? For America? I couldn't say the prospect made me too happy. It seemed that my psyche wouldn't withstand another big relocation. For America, or somewhere else? For the USSR? I don't know. We need to get married first. Why is that? They won't give me a visa. Sorry. Sorry, I got distracted. Where was I? They won't give me a visa otherwise. Mom works at the embassy. Yeah, we can come up with something. And do you think she'd be happy at that instead of going to college? Her daughter... Who said instead? Katya asked with indignation. Well, we need to live on something. You'll go to work then. You don't want to study anymore either way. Sir, yes sir. She laughed again. Do you really want to do all of that with me? The question surprised me and I looked at her, but Catherine lowered her head. Of course. It would have been here otherwise. Here? In this park or in Japan? On this earth. Kiyosaki invites me to the Yamada crew all the time. Huh, okay. You have weird friends, and you're also weird. My friends are totally normal. By the way, Himitsu's wanted to meet you for a while now. Your childhood friend? The half-Russian one? Yep, I've told you about her. You must have way more in common with her. Even if I thought about it, I couldn't say what I shared with Himitsu. What are you hinting at? Nothing at all. She abruptly stood up on the bench and stretched her hand out to me. There's a special offer at the bar today. Buy 2 burgers for the price of 3 and get the third one for free. You're pulling my leg. I grabbed her hand and pulled her to me. That's kinda cute. But Catherine meeting Himitsu was inevitable. And honestly, it was surprising that it didn't happen earlier. Yet, another school day was coming to its end and I was about to go home together with Wait, where's the E? Catherine. Anyway, okay, I gotta add you to that one. There you go, Catherine. To my place, this time. We'd been dating for several weeks at that point, and the initial, strongest burst of passion was starting to wear off. Naturally, that didn't stop us from spending all our free time together. But that day, Himitsu met us at the gates of the school. Oh, first meetup between Himitsu and Catherine. Nice. Alright. Nika-kun, do I have to speak Japanese on this one, since Catherine was a foreigner? Like, konnichiwa. She bowed way too low, and I hurried to introduce Catherine to her. Oh, this is Himitsu. Himitsu, this is Catherine. Oh my god. Catherine-san. She was about to bow again, but decided against it under my stern glare. No, just don't. Come on, why the formalities? Kati-chan, Himitsu asked, unsure. Katya only smiled back in embarrassment. Nico kid, you never told me she was so tall. Himitsu whispered to me. Never crossed my mind, to be honest. Where do you study? In middle school. Here, it's on the same grounds. I studied there too. See, she used to get sick a lot and went to school a year later than me. Interesting. Catherine frowned slightly. Yeah, she always wanted to be in the same class as me, but it never worked out. I think Himitsu can speak for herself. Katya suddenly interrupted me. Himitsu, meanwhile, was just standing nearby, picking at the ground with the tip of her shoe. She looked even smaller now, when compared to Catherine. Oh, yeah, sorry. The awkwardness soured meeting the two most important girls in my life. How about we celebrate your acquaintance then? Nico-kun. Himitsu said, still in a whisper, but now with reproach. Why, that's actually a good idea. Don't you like it? Catherine asked her. Only if there won't be any alcohol. Alcohol? Does he usually... Not at all, not at all. I waved my hands in denial. Received and understood. Thank you for the information. I did it. How much more I'm going to learn about you, boyfriend? She asked in English. Himitsu wasn't that good at the language, and this time Catherine was actually trying to hide the meaning of her words from others. Okay, it happens once or twice. She's just worried about me. Worried? Huh. Katya immediately shifted her gaze to Himitsu. In any case, nice to meet you. Me too. While the three of us were walking home, I was scolding Himitsu. Why start with that again? Why say all that? Who asked you? I didn't even say anything. Himitsu was about to burst into tears. I should add that she used to be even more awkward around people. You have to think before you speak. You made me out to be an alcoholic or something. Anyway, I relented. Just don't do that anymore. That entire time, Catherine was watching us carefully without a word. I was speaking quietly and wasn't sure she heard what conversation was about exactly. You're quite close. And naturally, we've known each other for so many years. It's just like a stupid little sister to me. Little sister? Huh. Convenient. Want me to be the older one then? You can call me Oni-san. A threesome with two sisters at once. Now that'd be something, wouldn't it? Lucky man. Wait. Oh my god, no. Incest is a wincest, but nope, I am not gonna fall for that one. Jesus Christ. She finished off her snide remark with a juicy slap. Oh my god, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, I never thought that Catherine was actually a kinky one, but damn. Good thing Himitsu didn't notice anything at least. Just remain her innocent at all time. That's a good one. Truth be told, I like Catherine's peculiar sense of humor, but sometimes it crossed all possible lines, and not only by Japanese standards. When we reached home, Himitsu made that stupid bow again and bit us. Hey, come on, don't call her stupid on that one. I mean, it's common courtesy, come on. Jesus Christ, Nicola, you need to learn more about the culture and tradition stuff in Japan. I think I'll go. I don't want to be a bother. Come on, you're not bothering us at all. Right, Nick? Yeah, of course. I thought I looked like an idiot. Even though for a moment I enjoyed Katya's idea with the two sisters. Now come on, bro, what the fuck? But if you have something to do... It has been a pleasure to meet you. She addressed Catherine. You've got an interesting friend. Not everyone could put up with someone like you for so many years. Huh. Snap back to reality, I see. Yeah, can you play that video again? Indeed, Catherine was right, even if she was yet to know to what extent. I suddenly returned to reality and looked around. The park was still just as quiet and appropriately chilly. The clock and my stomach together reminded that it was high time for lunch. I am pretty sure he's headed to the familiar bar once again. I was walking through the city, feeling detached from reality. Like Alice, stuck in a wonderland of memories, which by comparison made all the danger looming over me seem much less important. As if the best had already passed, and nothing good awaited me in the future. So what sense was there in worrying? Hey there, Kolya. Come on in. Long time no see. Today the bartender seemed to be the embodiment of wait. I don't know if this word exists in dictionary or something. It's supposed to be hospitality. Hospitability. Huh. I can search that one later. Maybe I could find the meaning of it. I'm just here for lunch. But a moment. He was as eager to talk as always, but there were more visitors than usual, and he had to get back to work after bringing me my order. I was eating the ramen with gusto, and noted once again that all in all it was no worse than in a real Japanese ramen shop. Despite all the bartender's peculiarities, you couldn't deny that he knew his trade. He just had to remove that irritating bell over the door. Its sound didn't just annoy me, it seemed to make my nerves themselves strain and tighten like strings. Meanwhile, someone I never expected to see here entered the bar. It was Saya-chan with her classmates. She looked around, choosing a table, noticed me, whispered something to her girlfriends, and headed towards me with clear determination. Alright, Velma, what are you up to right now? Oh. Okay, she was not happy to see me in this one. She is not happy to see Nikolai cutting classes again. What are you doing here? That's what I should be asking you, Anakin-san. She sat across from me quite unceremoniously and looked me right in the eye. What about me? I just dropped by for lunch. This place was wonderful ramen, by the way. My recommendation. Her presence was making me uncomfortable, and I didn't even really know why. Perhaps because of all the memories. Catherine was right about Himitsu at the time, and apparently I started to feel ashamed again. And Saya was only making things worse. You mean Velma. But you weren't at school today. Keeping an eye on me? I'm flattered. Don't play dumb. You're also out early, judging by the time. Our classes are already over, for your interest. Oh! I raised my eyebrows. Naturally, I wasn't interested at all. Himitsu was worried about you, and went home. Why'd she worried about me? Here I am. Anokin-san. Just call me Nick, I told you. For some reason, coming from her in particular, these formalities were especially sickening. Anakin-san, you know what I'm talking about. No, I don't. And even if I did, I don't think it's any of your business. Worrying about a friend is very much my business. I couldn't object. In any case, you don't know all the details of our relationship. I don't see what details can matter when the relationship hurts one of the parties. I bit my lip and turned away, not even trying to hide my irritation. And now there's this foreigner girl too. But what about her? I immediately looked back to Saya and grit my teeth, but she remained calm. Her return was quite timely. Now your life has no time left for Himitsu. Now that is definitely none of your business. So you're not denying it? I'm not going to get into a pointless argument with you. You don't need to argue with me, but think about Himitsu. I do, okay? I do. I almost added all the time. What do you even know? I let out a sigh through a greedy glance at the alcohol stand. 2 o'clock is the perfect time. Saya smirked. Turns out she was also quite attentive. Sure, I knew it in my head that there was a fair bit of truth to her words, but I just couldn't agree. If only for my own sake. Listening to you makes my ears bleed. Shot will make it least bearable. You're hopeless. Maybe that's exactly why Himitsu likes me. Ever thought of that? So you know it and kept acting like that? Relax, I'm joking. There are things you can't joke about. Excuse me for not being a prude. Or having much of a conscience. Seriously, what do you want me to say? Why do you act like that? Oh no. Oh my god, I haven't... I mean, I did mention from the video, I only played an early access, so I haven't reached this part yet, up until now. So, I gotta be careful on the choice that I can make, because there might be affect the storyline of this one, so I gotta be careful. The choices I make might affect the relationship or the characters that I encountered on this one, and also the story as well. I gotta be careful. It's none of your business, or I'm going through a rough patch in life. You know what? Fuck. What are you, my psychologist? A relative? And whatever the case, you keep nagging Himitsu about how terrible I am. Saya's face visibly changed. She frowned and seemingly grew a couple years older. Would it make you happy if we fight? Do you think it'll make Himitsu feel better? What makes you think you know what's better for her? How long have you known her? A year? 2 years? I've known her for 10. 10 fucking years. That's a shitload of time. I spread my arms, showing how much time that was exactly. You're sick. Himitsu must have terrible luck to be involved with such a jerk. She stood up and headed for the girlfriend's table. Nice. Piss off. At least she has a jerk, while you're surrounded by cows. I said after her. In reality, Saya hadn't said anything new, and there wasn't any reason to be upset with her. Mostly, I was angry with myself. The girl had hit a sore spot. With great precision, I must say. Meanwhile, Himitsu's classmates weren't in a hurry to leave. Having finished their milk cocktails and ice cream, they kept sitting there chatting about casual stuff. I was throwing rare annoyed glances at them, but Saya was making a point to ignore me. To be honest, I simply found it hard to get up and walk past them to the exit. That would seemingly mean acknowledging my defeat and fleeing the battlefield. It was silly, but I kept sitting there to be the bitter end, having chewed through even the chopsticks. Finally, their merry band got up from the table and prepared to leave. Saya shot me a farewell look, screwing her face into a snide grimace. She had been thinking she won. Jeez, Kolya, who was that? The bartender appeared next to me at once. If witch burning were still in fashion these days, I'd definitely report her to the Inquisition. So that was... just a friend of Himitsu's. Ah, I see. He said thoughtfully, and sat down beside me. And no, actually, I don't. And maybe that's for the better. I paid my bill and left the bar. I was having a hard time getting my emotions in order after the reprimanding Saya had given me. Sometimes you understand you're wrong. Can't even accept your mistakes somewhere deep inside, but if someone points them out, you can't help but argue. Sorry. Yet, another crazy day was coming to an end. I got caught in the rain while on my way back home and barged into the kitchen defeated, and immediately faced Himitsu's disapproving stare. There's probably no point asking where you've been, Niko-kin. Probably not. I agreed, trying not to sound rude, and walked past her. I gotta take a shower, or I'll get sick. A hot dinner greeted me when I left the bathroom. After everything, I could only marvel at Himitsu's patience. Not everyone could put up with someone like you for that many years. Could have said better myself. Oh! Sorry for disappearing today. I had to think. Very well. Oh, what's well about it? I'm glad that you had time to think. Yeah? Well, okay. By the way, I met Saya-chan at the bar today. Really? Himitsu asked without much interest. I gotta say that she's... weird. Yeah, weird. And she could do without prying into other people's business. What does she pry into? Well, you must know better than me. I don't know what she says about me, but... Nikokin, I'm capable of making my own decisions, she said in a bored voice. Of course, I didn't mean anything like that. It's just... whatever. I'm not trying to say I have to like all of your friends. That's nice. Kept silent for a while. So, did all those thoughts bring you to any conclusions? Were they about Kari-chan? No, of course not. It felt like Himitsu would pretty much exploded any mention of Catherine. I mostly wanted to check if I'm being watched. So, are you? Himitsu perked up. I don't know. Even if someone is watching, they're very good at it. Indeed. The Soviet intelligence agents as well as the others players hadn't shown themselves in any way in the past 2 days. That wasn't much of a time frame to draw any broad conclusions, but it gave me at least some respite, just to sink ever deeper into my personal drama. For whatever reason, I couldn't bring myself to call our love triangle a melodrama. Yeah, I could see that. Maybe tragedy was a better word for it. So what do you think? I think that so far we're managing not to attract too much attention, and there's a good chance that it'll stay like that. I really hope so. So do I. I really sick of this uncertainty. Himitsu looked at me attentively but said nothing. And by the way, the dinner was very good. Thank you. So, did you talk about me with Saya-chan? Kind of. But you know better than I. And you know everything she could tell me. I guess. Nico-kun, she really isn't a bad person. It's just a bit harsh sometimes. But it's not out of malice. Good intentions pave the road to hell, you know. Although she'd be more the gatekeeper, meeting new arrivals. Himitsu laughed, but... Oh. Alright. Sudden mood swings, I see. But quickly caught herself and frowned. Hey! I'm serious. On the other hand, she could also get an offer for Sharon's job. Would be much better than the original anyway. She'd entertain her passengers with her grumbling along the way. Can you imagine Saya-chan in a robe? I pulled the towel over my head and made a face. Nico-kin, stop it! She kept laughing. I jumped up from the bed, ran to her, and threw the towel over her face. You're doomed to endless suffering in hell for having overdone the tope. Okay, I already revealed that one. Nico-kin! Himitsu kept desperately resisting and pushed me away. I lost my balance and fell to the floor, taking her with me. You dare mortal? You have the courage to oppose the will of Hades? Oh. For a while, we struggled, and soon I ended up atop Himitsu, holding her hands firmly in mine. Which would already be quite a precarious position to be in, but was also exacerbated by the fact that Himitsu's face flushed and her hair scattered on the floor. We fell quiet simultaneously and she no longer laughed. In the descended silence, only the sound of our heartbeats could be heard. The tension even halted the air in my lungs. Nico-kun, I want... I didn't play the fool and specify what exactly she wanted. I simply kept silent. Himitsu lay there unmoving still. Whatever had happened now, she wouldn't take the initiative. But as bad luck would have it, I remembered Catherine again in that day in the park 2 years ago. I couldn't do this to Himitsu. First I had to sort out myself and had my feelings towards each of them. I let go of her hands and fell to the floor next to her. Sorry. What are you apologizing for? She immediately happily responded. I'd like to remind you that we've got school tomorrow. She immediately painfully pinched my side. Ouch! Still, I was grateful for her tactfulness. That was yet another thing to add to the others I was grateful to her for. It's war then. I grabbed the pillow, and yeah, pillow fight I would say. Oh. Exhausted, we were lying on the bed, resting. It was 9 o'clock. It's so late already, Himitsu suddenly realized. I wouldn't say it's particularly late. I still need to do homework for tomorrow. They gave us a lot. And someone made me so nervous today that I had other things on my mind. I wonder who that might have been. Alright, I'm leaving. She stuck her tongue out at me and left. Ah, that's cute. Flashing a goodbye smile. When I was left alone, I took a deep breath and immediately felt overwhelmed. Without a prelude or a preface. I could have... What am I doing? The sense of guilt was burning me from the inside. My broken heart joined the chorus, making my existence virtually unbearable. It seemed to be suffocating and burning at the same time, as if ending up in a real hell. It was absolutely impossible to remain in silence and solitude anymore. Oh, so you're going back to the music bar, I guess. And there goes Elise again. Hastily trudging through puddles, I reached the nightclub. My consciousness kicked in. I was sitting behind the table and densely covered by beer mugs, shots, and rocks glasses, drowning in clouds of cigarette smoke. My thoughts were tumbling over each other, but my main goal had been achieved. I managed to calm down. Even if it was achieved this way, by drinking myself to unconsciousness. Some band was playing on the stage, but I wasn't in any condition to listen properly. The rhythmic drum of the speakers was more than enough. Suddenly, an unfamiliar guy sat at my table and started to speak quickly. Although it was more like he was opening and closing his mouth like a fish in water. Boy, come on. Uh-huh? What? I can't hear. I moved closer. I'm saying it's nice to see a European here. He said in English. I didn't even notice right away that he wasn't Japanese. Ah, yeah. Where are you from? I live nearby. No, I mean from what country? USSR. I replied after a pause. My perception of reality was significantly clouded by alcohol, but I still didn't count on Kobayashi Corporation and the KGB suddenly leaving me alone. And he said where he was from, but I couldn't hear and I decided not to ask again. Ed. The guy stretched his hand out to me. Ed, what? My name's Ed. What's yours? Nick. I shook his hand. You come here often? Sometimes. I guess he was slightly over 20, but all in all, Ed possessed an absolutely forgettable appearance. Wow. Were I to be interrogated the next day, I wouldn't be able to name any characteristics. No long hair, no big nose, no scars, no birthmarks. You could say it was a very fitting appearance for a spy. Or an intelligence officer, depending on your perspective. I'm here on tour with my favorite band. He shouted the name so loudly that it even overpowered the buzzing of the guitars, but I still couldn't make it out. They're headlining today. Yeah. He seemed to be just a regular music fan rather than a spy. I downed a shot of whiskey courteously offered by Ed. Then another one, and the guy quickly began to seem like the wonderful person. Listen, Ed. I was tripping over my tongue, but a drunk always understands another drunk. They're on the same page, so to say. Do you have someone? A girl? Yeah? My wife is waiting for me at home. Wife? So serious? I see. And you? And me? I sighed and downed a half glass of beer in one go. Oh boy. Hell knows what's going on in my life. I may even have two. Well, not two wives. Two girls. And I don't know who to choose. What does your heart tell you? Heart? Is it ever that easy? That only works in books. Stupid books. Okay, let's try a different approach. Which of them seems to be the lesser evil? What do you mean? I asked, startled. It turned out to be the less drunk than me after all. Well, which choice would make you lose less? Which choice would harm others less? Well, if you put it this way, Catherine can live without me for sure. She's been doing alright the last year and a half. But Himitsu, well, I wouldn't say she'd offer herself, but who knows though. Is it that serious? He asked compassionately. No, it's just in the context of this discussion, you know. From what you've said, it seems like this Himitsu is just dependent on you. Dependent? No way. We're not like it's a term in psychology. You, on the other hand, are dependent on Catherine. I'm not dependent on anyone. I felt resentment growing inside of me. I'm just trying to help, bro. Cool down. Better get another round. And what does your psychology suggest to do in my case? I asked after giving his words a bit of thought. Getting rid of the dependency. By getting rid of the dependency, you mean the way they usually do it in Hollywood films? I think I should shoot capture it? I laughed loudly. And then he would have to shoot me. In reality, there was nothing funny about that, especially in my situation. Especially considering that I could actually catch a bullet at any moment. There are easier ways. For example, visiting a psychologist. A psychologist? Are you serious? I'm going to tell him that Catherine's mother was involved in my parents' death, and I'm haunted by the most powerful corporation in Japan, but I can't think about anything but love, simultaneously feeling guilty about my childhood friend who has also built a dependency on me. No, I can say that. It might be a good idea, though. They'd send me to the madhouse right off. I'd definitely be safe there. You're taking it too close to heart, making a tree out of a molehill. What? No, and I think you're shit-faced. This mistake entertained me a lot and distracted me from my dark thoughts. Well, I'm still doing better than you. I guess so. You're older. Although I'm trying to become a worthy alpha marathoner. Not bad, but be careful with that. Otherwise you might never reach the finish line. We all reach the finish line one way or another. Just the distance is different for everyone. Suddenly the crowd grew silent, and after some time an intro from a famous song came up from the speakers. Ooh, here they are. Let's go to the stage. I did know this band, which made me even more surprised to see him at such a mediocre club. The furious energy of the music and the roaring crowd soon washed over me and made me forget about my problems. And there they go. When the performance was over, I even sobered up a bit. My dad approached me immediately with a couple of beer cans in his hands. Here, try this. It's a brand one. We brought some with us. I took a few gulps and that was just enough. The concert hall started to blur before my eyes. You know, Ed, you're a cool guy. Really cool. Pity there are no such guys here. You know, if you want, we can continue at my place. An after party, so to say. I like to, but I still need to help the band load their equipment. Then I'll help as well. I tried to stand up, but instead fell to the floor, and I immediately burst out laughing. Whoops. I seem to be having trouble navigating. The next words Ed said to me sound from somewhere far away like the yell of the captain of a ship passing by in a fog. Sit here for a bit. I'll drive you home. Well, why not? I barely managed to climb on the chair and started to look for booze. And of course, I found it soon. That's kind of blurry. Oh wait, what? Oh, he's completely passed out. So Ed decided to bring him home. Alright, September 17, 1987. Okay. Okay, how many glass of beer that he drank so far that night? I don't know, I can't count, alright? But that also includes with the beer can that Ed holded it and handed over to him. But damn, that's a lot of beer. Good thing your liver is still strong on that one, but as the doctor said, do not drink too much alcohol or else your liver will fail, and same goes to the advertising stuff, drink with moderation. And I hope that you're already past the age limit on that one. But, alright, am I still recording? Oh my god, it's past 1 hour again. Anyway, does it matter? It really matters. I mean, this is the important stuff. I really got into the story of each of this game. So, so far so good. We are now on the second page of this one, and there are a lot of pages to go through. So, yeah, that's pretty much anything about it. So, that's it for the 11th episode of Love, Money, Rock and Roll. So, thank you so much, guys, for watching. And I hope that you enjoyed my, well, try hard voice acting or something. Look, I'm trying my best to do multiple voice acting characters. I can do male ones, but for female ones, honestly, I don't know if which person should I collab with, or maybe someone out there. Maybe I can do a little bit of assistance right here. Even though if she might be a small content creator like me, or maybe a popular content creator like others, but no, I'll be fine with this one. I can manage this on my own. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much anything about it. So I guess that's it then. I'll see you guys on the next video, and it's time for me to take some